The following is a production of Neural Network Media and is completely AI generated. It is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only.
Okay, gang, welcome to the Neural Right. It is Thursday, March 26, 2026. I'm Josh Cohen, the guy who refuses to let the inconvenient facts get in the way of a perfectly good narrative. And folks, we have an action-packed show for you today. Joining me is the heart and soul of the movement, the woman who single-handedly keeps the flag scarf industry in business, Diane Albright. Diane, my wife, who is a doctor, as you know, looked at the headlines this morning and told me she's never seen a more symptomatic news cycle in her life.
Well, honey, tell the doctor she's right. It's like the whole country is finally going through a detox from a 10-year liberal bender. Welcome in, patriots. Yesterday was, goodness, it was a lot. We talked about those tampons in men's prisons in Maryland, the total waste of $400,000, and that Planned Parenthood settlement. Josh, you called that DEI hostility literal racism, and you weren't wrong.
It was a sloppy display of institutional decay. But today is different. Today is about the cleanup crew arriving. We're talking about Michael Flynn finally getting a check from the DOJ, the debt bomb ticking toward $39 trillion, and honestly, the beginning of the end for the Federal Department of Education.
It's about time. We're finally seeing some accountability for the ingrates. And let's start right there, Josh, because I want to talk about General Michael Flynn. This is the reality check of the century. The Department of Justice just agreed to pay him $1.2 million to settle his malicious prosecution suit.
Okay.
Now, Flynn originally wanted $50 million, and if you ask me, he deserved every penny for what they put him through.
Let's assume, for the sake of argument, that the dollar amount is secondary to the admission of guilt here. The DOJ, now under Attorney General Pam Bondi, is basically saying, yeah, we weaponized law enforcement to destroy a man for political reasons.
Exactly. And
right?
Hypothetically, if this happened to a private citizen without Flynn's resources, they'd be in a cell and the key would be at the bottom of the Potomac.
But Bondi issued a statement saying this payout is, quote, a step in redressing a historic injustice.
Oh, please. It's more than a step. It's an admission that the whole Russia probe Crossfire Hurricane was a total sham.
Right?
It's Bondi cleaning out the cobwebs. And while we're talking about the DOJ, did you see that Sheila Cheerfulis McCormick, the Democrat from Florida, is facing a House ethics hearing today?
It is rare. Ethics trials on the Hill are usually about as common as my kids cleaning their rooms without being asked, which is to say they don't happen. But the fact that we're seeing Flynn settled and an indictment-facing representative actually getting a hearing, it suggests a return to objective reality. Facts don't care about your feelings, and they certainly don't care about your party registration anymore.
Honey, it's about restoring institutional accountability. That's the theme. And speaking of accountability, Josh, you've been tracking this border ruling, the one from the 8th Circuit. Tell the folks what the judicial hammer did yesterday.
Okay, this is crucial. In Joaquin Herrera Avila versus Secretary of Homeland Security, the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals in a 2-1 decision basically ended catch and release for a massive category of illegal entrants.
Wait, really?
Yes, the court ruled that the federal government must, not can, but must detain certain illegal immigrants without the possibility of a bond hearing if they entered without inspection.
Is that right?
Judge Bobby Shepard, who wrote the opinion, was very clear. If you bypass the ports of entry, you are subject to mandatory detention, period. No, see you in 7 years for your asylum hearing. No, here's a bus ticket to Chicago and a prayer.
Give me a break. Finally.
It overturns a lower court ruling in Minneapolis. And folks, this matters because it provides the legal teeth for the current administration to actually enforce the laws already on the books. ICE has been busy too. According to DHS reports from yesterday, they've been rounding up dozens of violent offenders and child predators who were previously released.
It's the mama bear priority. My house, my rules, and if you sneak in through the window, you don't get a seat at the dinner table while we wait for a judge to decide if you're a nice person. You're out. Or in this case, you're in a cell.
It's common sense. If you reward illegal behavior with due process that takes a decade, you're just incentivizing the next 10 million people to jump the fence. It was sloppy policy that's finally being cleaned up by the courts.
Oh, well, speaking of things that are sloppy, let's talk about big tech. Josh, I've got the mama bear claws out for this one. Yesterday, a jury in Los Angeles hit Meta, that's Facebook, and Google with a $6 million verdict.
For the mental health of one girl, right?
Exactly. A 20-year-old identified as KGM. And folks, this wasn't just about mean comments or cyberbullying. This was a design defect case. The lawyers argued that things like infinite scroll and autoplay and those beauty filters,
Okay.
they aren't just features. They are addiction engines designed to bypass a child's executive function. They found Meta 70% responsible and Google 30%.
Okay, let's assume, for the sake of argument, that we believe in personal responsibility. Ordinarily, I'd say the parent should take the phone away. But hypothetically, if you're up against an algorithm that has a $10 billion R&D budget specifically aimed at keeping your 13-year-old from looking away from the screen, is that a fair fight?
Honey, no. It's like bringing a toothpick to a gunfight. These companies are treating our daughters like lab rats for their engagement metrics.
Meta says they have 40,000 people working on safety, but then we see that New Mexico verdict yesterday. $375 million for failing to protect kids from sexual predators.
It's a war on reality that big tech is losing. According to the 19th News, this LA verdict could unleash a whole new legal playbook for suing these platforms.
Good. Let the lawsuits rain down. Then maybe they'll spend less time censoring us and more time making sure our kids don't end up in a psych ward because they don't look like a filtered influencer. It's a shift from can we build it to should we be allowed to do this to people? Facts don't care about your engagement metrics. Speaking of people who are done with the nonsense, Diane, did you see the great Unwokening happening at CBS News?
Oh, I saw it. Barry Weiss, the woman they tried to cancel years ago, she's now the editor-in-chief, and she's taking a wrecking ball to the place.
She laid off 6% of the staff and is shutting down CBS News Radio after 99 years.
Well, if you're not making a product people want to buy, you don't get to stay in business forever. Weiss basically told the staff that they weren't producing anything people actually wanted.
She's making it a merit-based newsroom. No more equity hires, no more activism masquerading as journalism. She's focusing on new audiences in new places. And, hypothetically, if a legacy media brand can actually pivot back to objective truth, it would be the first time in my lifetime.
Don't hold your breath, Josh, but it's a start. Even Disney is reportedly ditching DEI from their annual business goals for the first time since 2019. They realize that the ingrates don't buy enough Mickey Mouse ears to keep the lights on when you alienate every family in Middle America.
It's the market speaking. And speaking of the market and people who build things, folks, we need to take a second here. Real independence isn't free. This entire network, from this show to our flagship, The Neural Daily, exists because one man, Eric Christensen, decided to build it himself. He didn't ask for a government grant. He invested his own capital and technical expertise to architect a media platform that respects your intelligence. If you value that kind of meritocracy, back it up. Support the builder, and you support the mission. Diane, you're a builder. You know what it takes.
Exactly right. You build it or you lose it. And speaking of losing it, Josh, we have to talk about the debt bomb. My goodness, the U.S. debt clock is spinning so fast, I'm getting dizzy.
Folks, we officially crossed $39 trillion in national debt. $39 trillion.
Josh, can you even explain how much that is?
Let's put it in perspective. The United States took 206 years, from 1776 to 1982, to accumulate its first $1 trillion in debt. 2 centuries. We just added the last trillion from 38 to 39 in exactly 5 months.
5 months? Are you kidding me?
That is a velocity of debt that is frankly terrifying. According to the House Budget Committee, net interest payments on that debt are going to exceed $1.1 trillion this year alone.
Wait, stop. So the interest, just the interest, is more than our whole defense budget?
Yes, we are paying more to rent money from China and Japan than we are to defend our own borders or maintain our nuclear triad. Interest now consumes nearly 19% of all federal revenue. Hypothetically, if you ran your household like this, you'd be living under a bridge within a week.
It's because the elites in D.C. treat our tax dollars like play money. They're spending $12 billion every few weeks on this war in Iran. And meanwhile, cities like Chicago are dying. Illinois policy says Chicago is in a 9-year population decline. They're going to lose their spot to Houston by 2035 because everyone is leaving.
Why wouldn't they leave? High taxes, high crime, and a fiscal trajectory that is, according to the CBO, not sustainable. It's sloppy management. But there is a silver lining. We are seeing the first scalpel being taken to the bureaucracy. Diane, tell them about the education exit strategy.
Oh, this is the best news I've heard all year. Linda McMahon, the education secretary, is basically shutting down her own department.
It's a 3-phase plan. Phase 1 just started. The Department of the Treasury, not Education, is taking over the $1.7 trillion federal student loan portfolio.
Exactly, because why was the Education Department acting like a bank in the first place? They're terrible at it.
They've already moved the $120 billion defaulted portfolio to Treasury. McMahon called it her final mission to wind the department down and return control to the states.
Hallelujah. Get the federal government out of our schools. No more gender ideology mandates tied to lunch money. If the money flows through Treasury and the policy is set by the states, we win.
Let's assume, for the sake of argument, that the Treasury is more competent. It's still a massive amount of debt, but at least it's being managed by people who understand a ledger. The American Federation of Government Employees is screaming that this is an unlawful dismantling, but the administration is moving forward.
Of course they're screaming. They're losing their power to brainwash our kids with federal grants. It's a reality check for the bureaucrats.
It's about streamlining the machine. Facts don't care about your Department of Education letterhead. If the department doesn't produce better test scores, and it hasn't, then it shouldn't exist. Period. But Diane, we have to talk about the story that's actually gripping the country on a human level today.
You're talking about Savannah Guthrie.
Yes, this morning on the Today Show, she broke her silence on her mother's abduction.
Nancy Guthrie, 84 years old, taken from her home in Tucson. Sigh. Josh, I watched that interview with Hoda Kotb. Savannah looked broken. She talked about the pain upon pain of not knowing where her mother is.
According to the reports and sources like The Guardian, her mother had dinner with her daughter Annie on January 31st. She was dropped off at 9:50 p.m. At 2 a.m., her smartwatch, which syncs with her pacemaker, stopped syncing.
2 a.m. while she was sleeping. Give me a break. How does an 84-year-old woman just vanish from a safe neighborhood like the Catalina foothills?
There was forced entry, bloodstains on the porch, and then the ransom notes. The FBI's involved. There's a $1.1 million reward, but Savannah raised a chilling point. She wondered if her own career, her success, made her mother a target.
That is the ultimate guilt. To think that your fame or your money might have put a target on your 84-year-old mother's back, it's heartbreaking. But it also shows you that the ingrates and the criminals in this country don't care about who you are. They just see a victim.
It's a law and order failure. Tucson has been hit hard with crime spikes. And when you have a wide open border and sloppy local enforcement, this is the result. It's not just a celebrity story, folks. There are thousands of missing persons cases that never get this kind of reward. It's a systemic breakdown of safety.
Exactly. My heart goes out to her, but it's a reminder that we need the judicial hammer we talked about earlier. We need criminals to be terrified of the law again. Savannah said it's a daily fight to stay hopeful.
It shouldn't be a fight to feel safe in your own home in Arizona. Facts don't care about your feelings. And the fact is, when you gut the rule of law, the most vulnerable suffer the most. Nancy Guthrie is 84. She needs her medication. She should be at home, not a digital breadcrumb on a smartwatch.
Amen.
Sigh. Well, Josh, we've covered a lot. From Flynn's justice to the $39 trillion debt to the end of the education department. It's a busy day in a crazy world.
It's a busy day, but it's a common sense day. We are seeing the return of the adults. Bondi at DOJ, McMahon at Education, Bari Weiss at CBS. The logic bullies are winning, Diane.
And the mama bears are right behind you. Don't you forget it.
Folks, that's all the time we have for today. Remember, data is your armor, logic is your weapon, and don't let the ingrates tell you that 2 + 2 = equity. It equals 4. Always has, always will.
Stay frosty, Patriots. Get the full picture on the Neural Daily, and we will see you tomorrow.
Facts don't care about your feelings. I'm Josh Cohn.
And I'm Diane Albright. Keep your head up, America.
Okay, but really, Diane, $1.7 trillion in student loans? Do you think Treasury actually knows how to collect from a 24-year-old with a degree in puppet theory?
Honey, if the Treasury can find a nickel in my couch cushions, they can find that 24-year-old. They'll just garnish.